Hello and welcome back to the Awakening Her podcast. How are you, my friend? I hope you're doing well. I hope you're hydrated. I hope you're moving your body. I hope the new year is treating you kindly. But however you are dropping in today, whether it's a hard day or an amazing day, I see you. I've got you. You're at home here. So we're going to dive into something today that is going to support you no matter where you're at. And it's something that I have really noticed is a common denominator amongst what I would say are quote unquote successful people. And what I mean by that is like people who go out to achieve something or move the needle forward in an area of their life and then they do it. So success isn't all just super fancy, super making lots of money, all that kind of, it's not just one thing. It's people who successfully get healthier, successfully change their mindset or start to feel better with their mental health. People who successfully move forward in business or go out, as I say, and start achieving their dreams. This is something I really notice that I have to always remind myself of. And we're talking about celebrating and acknowledging yourself and go more in depth with what I mean there. At the end of the episode, I'm also going to go through some reflection prompts that you can use kind of in your everyday life to just continue to acknowledge yourself, continue to celebrate your progress, and continue moving forward. So I want to ask before we dive in, when was the last time that you truly celebrated yourself? And I'm not just talking buying a cupcake because you survived a Monday, although honestly, that's valid. I'm talking about really acknowledging yourself with how far you've come. Because the thing is that celebration isn't just fun and it's not just for like 50th anniversary or 10 years doing this or just the one big end result celebration thing. It's transformational. It's part of the journey. It's part of the self-growth and healing and moving forward work. Because, and I'll go more in depth in the episode, but when we don't learn how to celebrate ourselves right now with where we are, when we don't know how to look back and see how far we've come, we will never feel like what we're doing is enough. You will never feel like you have enough money or you're high up enough in the company or you're a good enough parent or you're a good enough human. You're always going to feel like you need to be more, which actually keeps you stuck. So this kind of ties in a little bit to the transformation trap that I talked about a little while ago. And I've been, talking about more because if we're never in the energy of acknowledging ourselves, then again, we're always stuck in something else. But aren't we here to live a life of fulfillment? And don't you want more confidence and more self-love and to feel like you're doing a good job? Don't you want to be able to see yourself through the lens of love and to reflect on your progress and use that energy as momentum to move forward? Don't you want to have your own back and to acknowledge yourself and feel good about your life and what you've already done, no matter what it is that you haven't done? You know what I mean? So today we're talking about this in a whole new light. It's going to be powerful. I'm going to share, as I said, the prompts, the questions I ask myself, but also my perspectives and my daily practices around celebrating, especially when I feel like there's an area of life that I'm not making the progress I want to make. That's an even more important place to celebrate yourself. So we're going to get into all of this and more. This episode is a mix of truth bombs, inspiration, maybe some humor, some tools, and really a pep talk to help you to celebrate yourself and to have that be part of your plan in moving forward. So before we dive into the episode, I just want to say that I have brought back my entire Talia Joy manifestation training library. I've had this active for a couple years, and then we went through a platform switch, blah, blah, blah. But in bringing it into a new platform and having a whole new look and feel, I added a whole bunch of new things. So I'm celebrating that and offering an incredible deal right now to get the entire training library for $47. The link is below if you want to jump on that. There are dozens of trainings and meditations and workbooks. You can check it out on the page that's below, but everything from money manifesting to inner child healing to shifting your identity to being more in purpose, discovering your soul's purpose, self-care, manifestation 101, manifestation in depth. We've truly got it all. I can't even name everything that's in there because I'll go on and on, but there's so much there, well over $1,500 in value if I were to sell those things individually. I've also added new mini courses, one on money mastery, one on magnetizing your goals. There are meditations, workbooks for everything. There's so much there that you can binge, that you can download, that you can take part in to really move you forward. So if you want to check that out, as I said below, the Talia Joy Manifestation Training Library is on sale. Regularly, it's $197, and even that is an incredible deal for what's inside. But for right now and for the next couple weeks, I'm going to offer it for $47 if you check out the special link that is below. So if you'd like to jump on that, go for it. Otherwise, let's dive into today's episode. Grab your water, grab your tea, grab your fresh squeezed OJ, and let's dive into it. Hey, beautiful soul. Welcome to the Awakening Her podcast. I am so grateful that you've been led here, and I'm so excited for you that you're answering the call to manifest more magic in your life. My name is Talia Joy, and I am committed to showing you exactly how to manifest more excitement, ease, success, abundance, confidence, love, and anything else you've been craving. So if you're ready to go on a magical journey of spiritual and self-growth to manifest the life you're meant for, we are now besties. Let's dive in. First, I want to say that we do not celebrate ourselves enough. Why do you think that is, Talia? Well, I'll tell you. Okay. We've reached a new level where I'm straight up talking to myself. Okay. So there is this societal obsession. Let me know, say an amen if you can see this for yourself, if you can agree. But there's this societal obsession with what's next. I believe this is part survival in our brains. It's part the pressures of society and the fast moving pace of our, environment, even what's available to us. We do have the option of having businesses and having an Etsy store and doing more and being more and all this stuff. So all of us have this pressure of like, what's next? And then for people like you and I that are, self-growth junkies and whatnot, here for self-growth, personal development, wanting to be our highest selves, our best selves, there is this built-in narrative of like, what's next? We're conditioned to hit one goal and then immediately move on to the next. I am so bad for this, and I ongoingly practice it because I will have a goal, it will happen, and it almost doesn't even register. I go like, oh, okay, moving on. And there's a time in manifestation when like nonchalantness, like, of course, making this much money is normal. Of course, the clients are going to come. Of course, I'm going to heal my body. Like there is a place to kind of go like, yeah, that's normal. And that's really powerful for manifestation, but it's different. It's like, I often don't even register that the thing I set out to, receive came. Because in that now moment when it's here, I'm still who I am. So if I don't learn how to celebrate myself in the little moments, when the big things happen, it's very easy for them to just kind of pass us by because we're chasing the next thing. We're not recognizing we're doing that, but we are going after what is next. So this is normal, right? Especially for people like you and I that want to move forward, but we need to learn to stop and celebrate. And it's almost like you're running the marathon and then you just skip the like medal winning part of it. You get second or whatever, you get first, you get third, whatever. You run the marathon and then you just like book it out of there and like you're already Googling the next marathon. It's like, stop for a second, enjoy the roses, right? You're already training for the next race, but you didn't even receive the medal of this one and feel how good this felt. And this is, as I said, such a mixture of different elements that come together on why we do this, or even just my perspective. I'm sure a lot of you have perspectives on why we tend to do this. We have this perfectionism thing and we feel like we haven't done enough to celebrate yet. We haven't done enough to celebrate. And we lie to ourselves and we say, oh, when I reach the 20-pound goal, I'll celebrate. Or the next, $1,000 of income, then I'll celebrate. Or when I complete the thing, I'll celebrate. We always feel like we haven't done enough. It's not quite worthy of celebration yet. Yet, when we get there, if we haven't practiced how to do it, we don't do it either, right? So sometimes we don't celebrate ourselves because we're afraid of seeming braggy or self-indulgent, but we're talking about it today in a different way. Celebrating yourself is an internal thing. So I think it's great to go to your friends, your family, your partner, wherever the people you can and celebrate, go for it. But the true celebration, the true acknowledgement is between you and you. So celebrating yourself isn't narcissistic or self-centered. It's something you do internally. And this is why, as we go through this episode, I'm shifting it from celebrating to acknowledging. That's what's necessary in the going forward. You don't need to throw a party for every 5 pounds you lose or throw a party for every little thing. And often it feels like that, right? Like people will throw a party for baby's first steps or whatever, but then they'll skip over the milestones. It's like, oh, you got a promotion. Oh yeah, well, it's going to take a while, blah, blah, blah. And we downplay what we're doing. But next up is the next job, So we need to just take a moment to celebrate ourselves along the way. And so when I had touched on a second ago, acknowledgement, what I mean by this is acknowledging where you are right now, even if it's not perfect. So acknowledging yourself isn't about waiting for the finish line. It's about the journey. It's about acknowledging the fact that you're showing up, acknowledging the fact that you're here another day. Acknowledging when you drink water, acknowledging, I literally high five myself. I'm I'm going to go to bed early tonight because my body's calling for it. High five. I would have not listened to that a few years ago. And years before that, 10 years ago, I was out drinking. I didn't care about, maybe not 10, but maybe a little bit more than that. But, I didn't care about sleep. I didn't care about acknowledging my body. Look how far I've come. And one thing I'll share with you, it's a little bit heavier, but for anyone new here, I used to have an eating disorder and it did literally take over a decade of my life. And I constantly celebrate and acknowledge myself now for moving out of it because I still don't know how I actually did that as far as it had such a grip on me. And now when I go to a restaurant and I just order, when I just go there, I order, I'm what do I want? Sometimes it's a burger, sometimes it's a salad, sometimes it's a fancy whatever, steamed veggies and chicken or whatever. But I notice every single time how easy it is to order. I just go what do I want? Ooh, this time I want eggs Benny, or this time I want a salad, and it's nothing. Every time I go to a restaurant, I have that thought of oh my gosh, I can't believe how easy it is to order. Because even though I healed my eating disorder quite a long time ago now, it was so strong that I acknowledge myself still because it truly blows my mind. So anyway, whether it's big things that you go wow, I went to a bar and I had a drink or two. 10 years ago, I would have been blackout drunk. Or, wow, I went to work or I had this stressful situation and I didn't freak out. Whereas 5 years ago, 2 years ago, I would have. I notice I've been having a lot of pressure lately and I've been also making sure to still get in my walks or talking to myself kindly. I've been really managing my stress. And a year ago, I wouldn't have done that. We really need to acknowledge how far we've come because it's just not true that you haven't moved forward. I'm just going to call that out right now. You have moved forward. I can see into your soul. You've moved forward. You need to see that. And so acknowledging ourselves is not about looking for the perfection, looking for the end result, waiting until the one big thing comes. It's every single day. And when I first learned about this, I did a self-development program called Landmark Education. Some of you may know of Landmark. It's all over the world, but I think that's where I first learned about it. And I learned the power of I acknowledge myself for doing this, or clients, or at that time I didn't have a business, but I would acknowledge other people wow, I really acknowledge you for doing this. And that word, there was something about it that I didn't use it, I think at all before that program. But I started noticing that even if it was my friend or my partner or a family member when I'm like, wow, I really acknowledge you for whipping up that whole appy from scratch. Or I really acknowledge you for working and being a mom, and holy man, that's a lot. Or I really acknowledge like what a good job you did or whatever. And people, you can see them kind of puff up in a good way, like, oh, wow, thanks. And I started learning about the power of acknowledgement, acknowledging other people. That was easier for me than acknowledging myself. But I had a really great friend. She's been on the podcast, Leanne, and she would share with me that every single night before bed, this was like a decade ago, she would put her hand on her heart, and her partner would say, like, what can I acknowledge myself for today? And they would each go through what they would acknowledge themselves for. And I was like, wow, that sounds really powerful. And I actually did coaching with her. She was my first coach that I worked with. And at the end of every call, she'd say, what can I acknowledge you for in this call? And I was like, whoa, or just what can I acknowledge you for right now? And I'd have to think like, you can acknowledge me for showing up to this call present, even though there was a lot going on. She's like, okay, Talia, I deeply acknowledge you for showing up for this call, even though there was a lot going on. And I would feel it in me like, wow, there is something here. So the power of acknowledgement is so deep, and I encourage you to try it out. Try it out on friends, family, yourself, and just saying those words, I acknowledge you for this, and follow it up with something genuine, something heartfelt, and feel that power. So there's also neuroscience with celebration and acknowledgement, and celebrating yourself or celebrating in general releases dopamine. It helps you to rewire your brain to seek more positive progress. It's like positive reward, right? Like you do a thing and you get a reward. And so, celebrating yourself, it starts to make it feel like, oh, this was all worth it. And every time you celebrate, you're reinforcing the belief that you're capable, that you're worthy, that you're on the right path, that you're doing a good job. And that is so important. That heals the self-love wound, the feeling good about yourself wound, confidence. It helps, as I said, rewire your brain. It releases dopamine over and over. There's just so many reasons and layers to how the power of celebration and the power of acknowledgement is just so strong. There's so much power behind it. So acknowledging growth as well. I want you to think about growth that isn't visible, the things that you've healed, the things that you've looked at, the places you've softened, the places you've surrendered, the places you've been resilient and you have been scrappy and you haven't given up, the times you choose peace over drama, the times you say no to create boundaries, the times when you show up for yourself, maybe a walk or a bath or a class or a coach phone call, when you show up for yourself when you didn't feel like it. Acknowledging yourself for those things, for me being able to order with ease at a restaurant, I just cannot lose sight of how powerful that is and how good of a job I've done. There are a lot of things that try to go through my brain of like, but you're not there yet, but you haven't done this yet, right? So I just want to paint a very real picture that those try to come up. It's just I learn to focus more on the light than the dark. I learn to focus more on the celebration than the lack of. Because lack only breeds more lack. Celebration creates more things to celebrate. When we talk about manifestation, when we talk about law of attraction, to celebrate brings about more situations to celebrate. Feel good opportunities, good news, abundance, goals being reached. Just the act of celebrating creates more things to celebrate, which is just so powerful. Celebration also creates momentum. Celebration is fuel. It's not fluff. It's not extra. It's fuel. When you celebrate, you're not just patting yourself on the back, you're building momentum. As I said, you're rewiring yourself to get to know yourself as someone who is capable, as someone who has your own back. The more you celebrate, and especially the more you celebrate the quote unquote small things, all those moments add up. And you start to create an environment, as I said, of self-love, of self-nurturing, of self-compassion, and of truly acknowledging that you are moving forward, which combats the voice saying, you're not moving forward, right? We need to learn to celebrate. So celebrate yourself for folding your laundry the same day you washed it, or celebrate yourself for going on the walk when you said you would. Celebrate the quote unquote little things, which creates more in a more healthy environment for change and manifestation and momentum. It creates more things to celebrate. It creates self-love. It rewires your brain. It releases dopamine. Like really at this point, there's more reasons to celebrate than not, right? Why would we even not at this point? So I want to move into a few practical ways to celebrate and acknowledge yourself so that you can really anchor it into your reality. So you can choose your own adventure for the way you do things, whether you do things weekly, monthly, if you're a journaler, if you speak out loud or meditate on things, you can do it whatever way. But I want you to start thinking or writing down your accomplishments like daily, weekly, monthly. So either every month, maybe at the beginning of the month, the end of the month, write down the progress you've made, the accomplishments you've had, the ways that you've pivoted or softened or these changes, or daily. That would be so powerful daily to write down your acknowledgements. I acknowledge myself for blank, and write down like 5 of them every day, every week, or every month, whatever feels best for you. And I really like to create rituals to mark milestones. So what I'll say to myself, and it's a fine balance because I don't want to become hard on myself or create a lot of pressure. But some things I say is like, okay, I'm going to take my magnesium, or I'm going to do my yoga, or I'm going to, drink my water or whatever every day this week. And if I do, I'm going to take myself out to that little cafe that has that really amazing, sandwich or whatever it is. And I'll create gentle goals for myself because, again, we want to build confidence so that we can continue moving forward and we can continue upping it if we desire to. So I have an app it's a habit app. And so how I do it is I'll say something like meditate 3 days a week. And then I'm marking down when I do it. So I'll say this week I want to meditate 3 days out of the week, which to me is attainable. That's totally doable. And when I do that, I often end up doing more. But I'll say, okay, I'm going to meditate 3 days this week. And if I do, I'm going to take myself to get the blah, blah, blah. And so that to me, it's like something at the end of the tunnel, something to physically celebrate. And this is a part of it, is that we want to create physical ways in which we celebrate. It could be anything from like dancing up and down, like out loud, going like, I'm doing such a great job. It could be going to a friend or a partner and saying like, can I just acknowledge myself? And they go, yeah, sure. What do you mean? I want to acknowledge myself for showing up this week. I drank my water. I did the thing. I'm so proud of myself. And then they go, yay, right? It could be by yourself. You could do it in a journal. I celebrate myself this week. You could say it out loud to yourself. You could throw a party for doing your laundry, whatever you would like. If you have a mom group or a dad group, you could celebrate, hey, I got through the day with the kids. Everybody ate. Everybody went to bed. I survived. We all survived. Yay, right? We want to really find physical ways. So I do this with clients a lot where when they have a milestone or when they have something that we're celebrating or anything comes up, I'll say, how are you going to celebrate that? And some of the people that have worked with me are probably like, oh my gosh, I heard that so many times. Oh, you got that amount of clients to come in when you said you would? Like, how are we going to celebrate that? And they're like, I don't know. I don't go buy yourself a latte. Like, it doesn't really matter. But that physical act allows you to not avoid it. It allows you to actually have a physical action that brings it to life. So create these rituals to mark the things you want to celebrate. And even if it's like my friend at the end of the night, you're putting your hand on your heart and saying, I acknowledge myself today for this and this and this. That's physical enough. But we just want to create a physical way that you're actually making sure that you're doing it. So another way that you can do it, as I kind of mentioned already, but is to speak out loud, and you can do it in the mirror. For any of you that love the mirror, or if you avoid the mirror, that's a great one to do. So saying it into the mirror, looking into your eyes, saying to yourself, I celebrate you for this, or I acknowledge you for this. Or you could look at yourself and just acknowledge yourself and just seeing yourself celebrating. You could shout it out to the trees if you would like to go out into the forest and say, I acknowledge myself. I'm a badass. I haven't given up yet. I'm scrappy. I keep going. So celebrating out loud is a beautiful thing because we hear ourselves. We hear our own voice celebrating ourselves, and it's really powerful. So another couple things that you can do is you could start the day by acknowledging one thing you're proud of from yesterday or one thing you're proud of lately. Just starting by acknowledging it, even if you just say, one thing I'm proud of, and you go like the fact that I haven't given up. And then tomorrow, if it's the same thing, that's okay. The fact that I haven't given up, like that is enough. Or you could end your week with a list of things that you're celebrating from the week. You could, at the beginning of the week, set out a few gentle goals, like you're going to drink water, or you're going to do some posts in your business, or, some things that you have going on. And then checking all of them and celebrating yourself for every single one. I have one, this is just my way of doing things, but I have one notebook in my office that is always my to-dos. Like that's all that goes in it. So every day, it's almost like bullet journal style. I write down everything that I have going on today. If I don't get to something, then it goes on tomorrow's list. But I write them all down and then I start checking them off. And then at the end of the day, I go to my list and I go, okay, you celebrate, or I celebrate myself, but I go to the list, I go, okay, you created that episode, you did your workout, you got back to this client, you sent that person the sales page, whatever it was that I had to do that day. And I actually look at every single one and take a second to go, wow, you actually got a lot done. Because I notice almost every day, I feel like I didn't get very much done. And then I look at my list, I'm like, actually, you did that reading, you sent that person the link, you recorded that thing. I'm like, wow, actually, I did a lot today. And that allows myself to, again, celebrate, but also feel good about myself and just kind of like chill and drop my shoulders and go, okay, I'm doing a good job. It's okay, right? So as we start to wrap this up, I'm going to give you some journal prompts for self-celebration. If you want, you can grab your journal, write them down, really start asking yourself these things. And you can do it, as I said, daily, weekly. You can write it down. You can be in your journal. You can say it out loud. You can shout it to the trees. You can start your day by asking. You can end your week. You can do monthly, daily. You get the idea, right? Choose your own adventure. But over everything, please, please, please celebrate yourself. Celebration is very similar to gratitude, right? And if we don't learn to be grateful for what we are and what we have now, we will not know how to do it when we get there. As I've said a million times, if we don't know how to acknowledge ourselves, celebrate ourselves, be grateful for what is right here, right now, I guarantee you that when you get to that goal, you won't be able to celebrate either because the marker will just move. And that was in the eating disorder. I saw it happening and I couldn't stop it because I was so in it. Well, I guess I did stop it eventually, but I would see it happening where I'd say, I just need to lose this much weight. And then I would, because I'd starve myself or I'd do something really, damaging to myself. And I'd go like, yay, for like 0.3 of a second. And I'm like, okay, the next 5 pounds. Okay, the next smallest jeans or whatever, right? It always will move. An A could be an A+. Getting the promotion could be a double promotion. Going for a walk, it could have been 45 minutes. So we really, truly have to acknowledge the 2-minute walk, the time you did 5 minutes of stretching when you were really resistant, the thing you did get, the thing you do have already, or we will not know how to celebrate it, how to feel good about it later. I promise you. Okay, so just a couple journal prompts here. If you want to, you could kind of close your eyes, see what comes up. If you're driving, you could just take it in. If you want to come back later and write it down, you can do that as well so that you can ask yourself these questions regularly. So first one is, what's one thing that I've accomplished recently, big or small, that I am proud of? What is one thing I've accomplished recently, big or small, that I'm proud of? Next question is, how have I grown emotionally, mentally, or spiritually in the past month, in the past year? How have I grown? The next one is, what's something I've done recently that took courage? What is something I have done recently that took courage or bravery? The next one is, what is a habit or mindset that I've shifted that's creating a positive change in my life? What is a habit or mindset that I've shifted that's created a positive change? The next one is, who am I becoming, and how can I celebrate the journey of getting there? Who am I becoming? And how can I celebrate the journey? And then the last question is, if I celebrated myself the way I celebrate others, what would I say or do? The way you acknowledge your kids, your friends, your bestie, your siblings, your partner. If you were celebrating yourself the way you celebrate and the love that you give to others, what would you say or do? So take these prompts, make them your own, add on to them, pick one or two, come from the heart, and see what comes forward. Okay, my love, just remember that celebration isn't about waiting until it's perfect or waiting about it until it's done. It's about the progress. It's a way of moving yourself forward. It's part of the success plan. It's pausing and saying, I'm proud of myself. I'm proud of myself. These are the ways I've changed. I've shown up. I've shifted. Because when you honor yourself, you create a ripple effect of self-love, of healing, of momentum when it comes to manifestation, and of possibility. So celebrate yourself. I would love to hear over on Instagram at Talia Joy Manifestation. You can send me a DM. You could take a screenshot of the show and post and let me know. How are you celebrating yourself, or what are you celebrating? And if you send me a DM saying, I'm celebrating myself for this, I will send you one back celebrating you, because it just feels so good. I want to celebrate you. You have done such a good job. You are so on the right path. And if this episode sparks something in you, maybe share it with a friend, share it with a bestie who needs the reminder that they are worth celebrating, and you guys can do it together. Okay, my love, with that, I am out. I will see you in the next episode. And if you want to look at the Manifestation Training Library deal, you can check the show notes below. And with that, peace out. I'll see you in the next one. Hey Seeker, thank you so much for listening to this episode today. I truly hope that it served you and helped you on your manifestation journey. So if you're ready to really learn how manifestation works so that you can have the freedom to create whatever you want, I invite you to On the Path. It's a private podcast community that will help you to manifest your goals and stay on the path to your most fulfilling life and your highest timeline. This is where I guide you through transformation step by step, helping you to cultivate devotion to yourself, master your energy, do the inner work needed to release resistance, and manifest a life that lights you up. We both know that you're ready, that you're evolving, that you're transforming, that you're ready to quantum leap, and I am ready to offer you the tools and the education you need to move forward. So come and join me on the path. The link is in the show notes below.